Good morning, Alan. Hello, everyone else, and welcome to Tartar Spider. Today, the human villains. We all know that the Doctor has fought evil throughout all of time and space, but very often they have been humans. So let's look at the human villains and break them down into different types. And if you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe.
Heroes are often judged by their enemies, yet there are many different types of enemies. Here are some of the human villains that the Doctor has faced. Sometimes they're misunderstood villains. Not all of the villains the Doctor faces are as evil as they initially seem. The Master from The Mind Robber. A writer for the boys' magazine, The Ensign, this anonymous master was captured by the master brain of the land of fiction, so it could feed on his prolific imagination. Although he could be malicious and threatening, the master was just as much a prisoner as the doctor, Jamie, and Zoe. Epish from The Curse of Paladin. The High Priest of Paladin, Hepish opposed his planet's entry into the Galactic Federation, fearing its traditions and autonomy would be lost. He used the legendary royal beast Agador to wreck the membership talks, but sadly and ironically, Hepish was killed by the very creature he had trained to attack Paladin's enemies. Hindle in Kinda. Security Officer Hindle suffered a nervous breakdown on an expedition to the Kinda world. Driven insane, he believed his base was threatened by the planet's vegetation, and the only way to protect the base was to destroy it with explosives. Before Hindle could carry out his plan, his sanity was restored by a Kinda healing device. Sherazjek, The Caves of the Androzani. A brilliant roboticist, Sherazjek was betrayed by his business partner, Morgus, and disfigured by the scorching heat of Androzani miners' volcanic mud. Hiding in the planet's tunnels, the lonely Shek was consumed by rays, finally confronting his nemesis. Even gunshots couldn't prevent Jek from exacting his revenge. Sometimes they're historical villains, dangerous adversaries from the pages of Earth's history. Tigana in Marco Polo. Tigana was a treacherous 13th century Mongol warlord. He traveled in Marco Polo's caravan, heading for the Mongol Emperor Kublai Khan's court. He masqueraded as a peace emissary, but when he failed to kill the Khan, Tigana took his own life. El Akir in The Crusade. A vicious Saracen emir, El Akir tried to murder Richard the Lionheart. Publicly humiliated by the doctor's companion Barbara, he kidnapped her and made her his slave. El Akir's barbaric culture proved to be his undoing when he was killed by the husband of one of his victims. Catherine de' Medici, The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. The manipulative Catholic Queen Mother of France persuaded her weak son, King Charles IX, that the Protestants were a threat to him. She maneuvered Charles into authorizing a massacre in which thousands of Protestants were killed. Captain Samuel Pike, The Smugglers, commander of the Black Albatross. Pike was named after the deadly instrument that had replaced his right hand. Charming but ruthless, this pirate had no problem using his namesake to execute his crew when they failed or betrayed him. Captain Trask, The Highlanders. This was the greedy captain of the slave ship Annabelle. He betrayed his rightful skipper and dealt with rebellious prisoners by whipping, keel hauling, or throwing them overboard. Eventually, he suffered the same fate when the doctor organized an on board revolt. Sometimes they're conspirators, villains who collaborated with dangerous and sometimes treacherous allies. Theodore Maxteville, The Evil of the Daleks. An arrogant Victorian scientist, Maxteville financed time travel experiments. His work came to the attention of the Daleks, who manipulated his greed by promising him the secret of turning lead into gold. Maxwell's greed led him to being converted into a human Dalek. Eric Clegg, The Tomb of the Cybermen. One of the Brotherhood of Logicians, Clegg infiltrated an expedition investigating the Cybermen city on Talos. His thirst for power blinded him to the dangers of the machine creatures, and Clegg died at the hands of the monsters he admired. Maurice Caven, The Space Pirates, an ex-civil servant with a sadistic streak. Caven orchestrated the hijack of Argonite navigation beacons. He was a skilled planner and used the Exigri Mining Corporation as the legitimate cover for his piracy. He also booby-trapped his spacecraft in case the crew revolted. Kelman, Revenge of the Cybermen. The exographer Kelman surveyed Voga, the planet of gold, before luring a group of Cybermen to the space station Nerva beacon. The Cybermen were then targeted by a Vogan missile. A ruthless double agent, Kelman used Cybermatch to murder most of Nerva beacon's human crew. The Marshal of Atrios in the Armageddon Factor. The glory-obsessed Marshal commanded Atrios' war against Zeos. Controlled by the Black Guardian's agent, the Shadow, he manipulated the war effort on his own behalf. Later abandoned, the Marshal attacked Zeos with missiles which, thanks to the Doctor's intervention, destroyed the Shadow. There have been mad scientists. Here are 3 sobering reminders that scientific research comes with responsibilities. Dr. Quinn from the Silurians, Deputy Director of the Welby-Moore Atomic Research Station. This affable and ambitious Dr. Quinn imprisoned a Silurian, believing he could force it to reveal the secrets of this prehistoric civilization. Quinn paid for this misjudgment with his life. Professor Eric Stallman, Inferno. Single-minded and aggressive, Professor Stallman was obsessed with his drilling project to penetrate the Earth's crust. His mania became the madness when he was infected by a primordial slime. The infection drove him to ignore safeguards, gradually transforming him into a savage beast. Professor Kettlewell from the story The Robot. This naive environmentalist, Professor Kelman, used his K1 robot and the fascist Scientific Reform Society to blackmail the world with a threat of a nuclear missile strike. Kettlewell finally realized the insanity of the plan, but was killed by the K1 robot, the machine he had created. Sometimes the villains are content serving a higher power. These are the henchmen. Stevens, the Green Death, the managing director of Global Chemicals. Stevens was the brainwashed slave of the power-mad computer boss, the real controller of the company. The doctor freed Stevens' mind using a Metebelis crystal. The reformed Stevens then destroyed Boss before it could take over. Niter, Genesis of the Daleks. Head of security guarding Davros's research bunker, the obedience of the clinical Niter was absolute, extending to the genocide of his own people, the Khaleds. Ironically, Niter was exterminated trying to carry out Davros's order to stop a Dalek production line. Scorby, the Seeds of Doom. A tough, sadistic, and well-paid mercenary, Scorby was in the employ of the eccentric botanist Harrison Chase. He was able to indulge his enthusiasm for guns and violence until a confrontation with the alien Krynoid drove him to a fatal breakdown. Tecker in Time Lash. A psychopathic member of the Carful ruling council, Tecker became the proxy ruler for the tyrannical Borad. Tekker's ambition had a limit, however. When the Borad threatened war with another planet, Tecker rebelled and was aged to death. These are just some of the human villains that the Doctor has faced in his many years. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please enjoy your journey through time and space, and good night.